All right, here we go, everyone. It is Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. It is Friday, the last trading day of October, heading into election next week. But we're all here together, and I'm really, really grateful and excited for that. I think it's going to be a really special session, a really fun session where we're going to get to just go ahead and do what we like to do, grab some coffee, grab some tea, and go over some charts. Let's put it all together. Let's do it in a really upbeat, in an upbeat mindset, perspective. Everyone just like drop all of that nonsense going on around us. Let's like put around this bubble here and let's do what we do together. All right. And if we talk about anything today that needs to be discussed, do it from a detached perspective. By the way, like I took a trade on gold last week, got stopped out this week. That doesn't affect me. It's just one trade in many. Same thing. Like you have to be detached in your trading, be detached in your outlook about everything. Positivity. All right, let's do it all. Let's start with the dollar first. I'm not even going in order today. We'll look at everything and probably I'll do it all in order, but we're not. We're going to put a big focus starting on dollar, then gold and silver. We're just going to start it this way. By the way, as we get started tomorrow, I've been saying to you all about this upcoming video that I've been preparing for a while now, mentally preparing for how to best trade and position yourself during the Bitcoin bull market. I said I'm not in a rush to get it done until we clear 14,000. Well, we're right there. And this Saturday, I'm going to be spending all day doing that, putting that together. I'm excited for that. I'm really excited for that. Wanted to share that all with ya. Let's start with the DXY over here. By the way, Raul Powell, our friend over at Real Vision, had a really nice thread this morning. Now, I glanced at it while preparing my coffee. I didn't get a chance to really dig into it. But as the dollar is now breaking out over here, he put out back his, why he's a dollar bull thesis. And it's worth really paying attention to. For real, it's worth paying attention to. I'm going to dig deeper into it. If you haven't seen it, just go to his Twitter. Go to Raul Powell. I think it's his latest thread, if not one of them, most recent. And he does note in it, though, that he does expect for this to probably be the last hurrah for the dollar, and that whether it's starting in 2023, 2022, or 2023, we then see a big decline. I don't know. And I sincerely don't know. All as I know is that I just follow what's happening in front of me, right? So while he, and if he could be proven correct, if we come up here, then he'll be like, all right, I hung through my trade, which he's done for years. This is a multi-year trade that he's had on. I think it was 2012 when he positioned out of the euro into the dollars. You're talking 8 years he's been holding a position, right? And we could be like, all right, well, we're trading it as it comes. And you know what? I don't know long term about anything. I don't know if it's going up, down, sideways. Just following what's going on in front of me. And right now, we have a big breakout here on the dollar, right into the resistance, by the way, at 94. Now, some traders are saying, well, until we break 94, then that's big resistance, and I don't think we're going anywhere. Maybe. But either way, this is normal price action behavior. This is a simple breakout into resistance. Here comes the retest. A break above 94 is the resumption and probably sends it. So either which way, we'll see. Do I think, by the way, this is going to be a fun session. I just want to talk about lots of different stuff, right? We're not looking here for setups on Friday. We're looking at the market to get that nice feel of the market. Patience is key always. So I don't think anything about the VIX. I don't need to consult the VIX. All I need to do is look at price, and I can tell you what the VIX is doing. VIX is a reflection of the volatility in the market. If you don't need to look at the VIX to see the volatility, right? I mean, is the VIX up or down, right? So I don't need confusing things in my life. I need to keep things simple because the markets are absolutely complicated. Let me just finish the thought over here. And what's my thought over here? I might have to just move these comments off for a little bit. Otherwise I get distracted and I lose it. Break and retest. Yeah, that's my base case. Oh, the U.S. election Do I think that someone asked this morning here, do I think the dollar will go bid in during the US election if it's a contested election? And listen, I don't know. I think so because it's the US dollar. However, when you're talking about an event that directly affects the US dollar, I have a lot more certainty in the Japanese yen, which, by the way, always in a crisis outperforms the dollar, the Japanese yen, whether it's 2008, whether it's this year's liquidity crisis. Japanese yen is the place to go. And then I also have been saying, if we have I was talking to the group this morning, if we have a contested election, if you don't think the Japanese yen outperforms the US dollar in every single crisis, just look at your chart. That's not subjective. Okay. So, by the way, so do I think that the Japanese yen is a better trade in a contested election? Absolutely. I definitely do. Do I think gold is going to go bid if we have a contested election? Yes, I do. Do I think that if Biden wins and we have a blue wave, that gold is going to go bid? Why, yes, I do. Do I think if Trump wins and we have a blue wave across the House and Senate, that gold is going to go bid? Why, yes, I do. Do I think if the Republicans control the Senate, that gold is going to go bid? No, I don't. Unless there's a contested election, it will for that period of time. So, listen, don't get into a trade hoping something's going to happen. No, Sean, I never, no. Friday does not ever influence whether or not how I manage a trade, an open trade. Now, I won't take a new trade once New York gets to work on Friday in FX, but that's not to say that I will close profits or take profits ahead of a weekend. All right, so let's go. Let's look at let's look at gold over here. So, by the way, I have to always be changing my my evaluation and opinion. And why do I say that? Well, right now I'm looking over here at above 1914 as a place to reestablish a long on gold. Do I care that I was stopped out over here? Well, no, it's just one trade in a series of trades, right? Just like if I, just like when I go on to to have a nice trade executed that goes into profit, I don't get emotional about it either at all. So what's going on over here? Am I still waiting for that? I know that that's pretty clear. Yes, there's resistance right over here, but I always look for the break, retest. I'm not worried about that. What about now that, look, this looks like a false breakdown over here of this trend line, right? If we get a strong close on gold today, I'll say that was a fake out, right? And I know that none of us were looking for a short trade over there to sell gold, but nevertheless, there were a lot of people who did. So what happens over here if we get above here, and what happens if we get a test of this trend line on Monday? Would that be a trade I take? Well, I'm completely open to that. I'm completely open to that, as well as I have a really good place to put a stop loss, right? With a pretty decent position size at that point, right? That's like, I'm just eyeballing it, but it looks like a 2.5 to 1 going into the resistance up here. So I'm open, I'm flexible. I'll see what happens. That might be something that that on Monday that I open up to. I have options. What about on Justin? As long as look, you're here, Justin. That's all that matters to me, right? Each and every one of you that are here, it is absolutely quality over quantity. We got an absolutely fantastic environment over here. We have a very special thing. Special things are extraordinarily rare. This is extraordinarily special. So I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for all of you. It's called the rise of Bitcoin. It's the rise twice. The rise of Bitcoin. It was put together by some guy who was an early miner out of Pittsburgh into Bitcoin, and it's a fantastic documentary. Highly recommend it over the weekend. Yeah, we're going to talk about Ethereum in a second. We're actually going to go from silver to Bitcoin to Ethereum, because what's going on with Ethereum? All right, let's go. So, yeah, I have ideas on XRP. It's been the same thing that I've, forever have cautioned everyone on XRP. Yeah. You can find it on Amazon Prime. That's right. You can find it on. It's really interesting to see a young Volatile, when he was the editor of Bitcoin Magazine. Really great documentary. So here we are at silver. Silver, obviously still lagging gold. Do I need to? I have this trend line over here, by the way, this lower trend line. Like, I'm just going to play with you for a second. Look, the flow is different today, but it's the flow I want to go with. All right. So I hope you all sit back and enjoy the show, right? No, we're not. No, that maybe. No. So, yes, here we go. I need to do this, and I'm going to show you why. So, right, if I touch that line, that obviously was clear resistance as well. That, I mean, I'm going to leave it there as a little bit of guide for me. So either which way, I'm not looking at silver until we clear this trend line over there. Gold is different, right? Gold, I'm saying, all right, maybe on Monday off of this trend line, I would take an aggressive trade on gold. I'm not deterred about getting stopped out on an individual trade. It's a series of trades, right? So, but on silver, you gotta let it actually break out here technically before looking to get involved. All right, that's all. We're gonna look at Bitcoin, and then we're gonna definitely take a look at Ethereum. Bitcoin remains, right, as everyone knows, just very bullish over here. And the reason being is since it broke above that last bit of resistance, it's holding as support. It came into what? Resistance, and now is holding as support. It's consolidating in a very bullish environment. There's nothing else to say. I think it's getting to be, I want to look at this on the 3-day, right? This was, if you don't think Bitcoin is bullish, not only are you doing this wrong, you're doing this massively wrong. Like, there's something wrong with you if you don't think Bitcoin is bullish. You know, that's my arms around your shoulder looking you dead in the eye. Sorry, brother. So anyway, you got Bitcoin over here. Massive technical breakout over to the upside. Breakout, retest, right at the breakout. And now finally we got that resumption, right? And now we're getting ready for the next. This is 3-day. This is a bigger time view over here. Getting ready for that massive break over here of the June 2019 high. That then begins to send Bitcoin. And again, I have my price target, 18,000. Now, if you're waiting to pick up Bitcoin at 10,000, you had that opportunity, and you're the same guy. If you missed that opportunity over here, because I was saying all through that area, like whether you're looking for 10,500 Bitcoin, whether you're looking for 8,000, or it's all cheap. But you're going to be one of those people. This is you. Pay attention right now. This is you. As Bitcoin keeps rising, you're going to keep looking for lower Bitcoin. Oh, sorry. Anyway, I don't. It is what it is. Bitcoin is bullish as fill in the blank. Okay, remains so. Have we? By the way, there's a couple of things I want to talk about. All right, I'm gonna keep going when I go. Yeah, it's amazingly fun to view Bitcoin using a log scale. It's so much fun, but that's all it is. It's fun, right? Traders don't trade off log scale. So short-term correction on Bitcoin. I mean, look, so far. Oh, by the way, let's always look at our downside. I don't mean to get distracted. I need to just take off the comments for a little bit. I need to find my Friday flow over here. Look, as long as we're holding over here, right? Break below that area over here. I think it's even higher now, 12,800. Then we've lost this last leg up on Bitcoin, and we're looking at 12,100. Maybe it's like there's over there. There's a lot of bit over there. Maybe as far as 11,800. This support should hold, right? Is that the base case? That's not the base case. The base case is that we're going to blow past 14,000 after this breakout, retest, consolidation, resumption. All right. Either one of those things could happen. What else? There's a couple of things I wanted to add and say. Oh, we haven't yet received our 30% pullback. I feel like looking at this a little bit longer with you, maybe even in Saturday's video with you. Going into this stage last time, we had a 30% pullback. We reached the all-time high on Bitcoin and then had a 30% pullback, then went up and had another 30% pullback. We haven't had 130% pullback yet, but that's because we had this massive crisis, which sent us off, what, 60%, right? We had a 20% pullback after the halving, going into the halving, a 20% pullback. So the question people ask themselves, are we going to be having less of pullbacks this bull run on Bitcoin? Or are we going to only have 20% pullbacks? I don't think so at all. But what I do think is this. I do think until we cross, 14,000, I'm then looking at like 16,000 mentally. Now, I don't know. I do not know. This is my mental guide. As we come towards 16,000, from then on, I'm looking for the first 30% pullback to occur. Now, does it rhyme like last time? Do we come and touch somewhere around the all-time high, 19,400, and then get the 30% pullback? Or do we break well above it and then come back for the 30%? I have no idea. I cannot predict the future. All that I really want to be clear about, I do think we'll have 30% plus pullbacks. I don't think they'll happen until we come towards 16,000. However, always be ready for them. And right now, if we were to have a 30% pullback, that would take us back to, this is super healthy, by the way, this prime trend line down over here, that again, we would not have broken out down below if we did not have a liquidity crisis. So listen, if you're trading Bitcoin leveraged, you gotta be smart. You can't just like take a big position hoping that it's just going to go up from here. You have to play it smart. Whereas if you broke important levels, for example, the one we just looked at, this area over here, if we traded below that, right, you gotta think about lighting up your position. Maybe even you could just take that swing high there. If you traded, something's wrong if we trade below 11,000 over here. Maybe you want to lighten up your leveraged position. If we lose this support over here, something's wrong. Below 10,500, maybe you want to lighten up your position. Now, there are many traders who are not trading Bitcoin leveraged, who if we traded down to here, would definitely accumulate. Into this support would definitely accumulate. But if you're trading Bitcoin leveraged, that's not the way to do it. If you break important support levels, you got to lighten up your position and you got to wait for the market to improve. Similar to what I'm saying on gold, right? What I'm saying on gold is, look, you take the trade, you get out, wait for it to repair itself, right? And then if you break above 1914, okay, then you could look for a long entry. That's the same thing if you're trading Bitcoin with leverage. You gotta, if you break important support, lighten up your position, and then as it repairs itself and the bulls get going, that's when you add to your position and take a firmer position. Okay, different than if you're trading Bitcoin unleveraged to ride the bull market. At that point, you're looking for these important drawdowns to add to your position, and a 30% drawdown, that's money, like right into that support over there. You should just have orders waiting always 30% below market, because you could get also the price won't be lasting down there too long. So anyway, that's the look at Bitcoin. Someone said on Twitter last week, I think it was the most touching comment I read all year, and they were like, Jordan's the most important invisible voice in Bitcoin. And it really meant a lot, because I'm not whatsoever a Bitcoin influencer. I know I've influenced over the past year, going back a year ago when I started my Bitcoin videos on the 4-year cycle. A lot of people mentioned to me that they got into Bitcoin, because of those videos. That's awesome, but I'm not a Bitcoin influencer whatsoever. So Jamie, that's okay for you. Yeah, but if I mined Bitcoin back in 2013 and was still holding, if you're not telling me that I wouldn't, anyway, I would be more apt to take small leverage positions in Bitcoin if that was the case. I'm just catching up on a couple of Miguel. Nice, a couple of Bitcoins. A 10x position of Bitcoin is highly volatile. I personally don't recommend going over 3x. Straight up cross position of Bitcoin is already extremely leveraged, even though it's not leveraged. Okay. Every time stocks sell off, Bitcoins go down. Is that the case? I don't know about that. I sincerely, let's take a look at that, right? We have Bitcoin over here, right? Trading right off the all-time high. Let's take a look over here at the S&P 5. No. I don't know. Since September, I have, let's see, since September, I have the S&P down 10%. That's a big move. What's Bitcoin since September? This is just, I mean, like, you got to be fair. Since Bitcoin's up 40%. So, Tom, just look at that again. Since September, S&P is down 10%. Bitcoin's up 40%. Right? That's not really a fair statement. You have to reevaluate that, especially as we get into this portion of the 4-year cycle. And Tom, just go ahead to the Bitcoin playlist on this channel and watch those videos which explain the 4-year cycle, I think, better than anyone else. Maybe I'm wrong. Obviously, there are people that probably articulate a lot better. But it's a great place to go ahead and look. Yeah, so it looks like Iran has spoken as the first country that, I don't know that they're adopting Bitcoin. They're adopting it for what? For allowing exports or imports? I'm not sure. I didn't read up on it. I haven't heard about it, just headlines. And are they probably taking a position into Bitcoin? Why, I think so. That's for sure. No, I want to see some comments over here before I get going over there. Josh, thank you. Jordan, you really talked to Bitcoin money. Jordan really liked to talk Bitcoin more than 5 minutes. I mean, that's where we are. So, Taylor, I just want to talk about it. And by the way, Taylor, this Saturday, my Bitcoin playlist, I consider important. I'm adding to that playlist, publishing a video that I'm producing a video on Saturday. One of the most important videos. I've been talking about it for a while. I don't normally talk about Bitcoin because I talked about Bitcoin a lot going back over when we started the channel. Right? In this whole area, I'll tell you what, in this whole area, right? October, like all of this period up until here, I was talking about Bitcoin. And then I kind of because I positioned everyone into Bitcoin and then I backed off because and anyway. There's a rhyme and a reason for everything, but now we're at an important point as we're getting ready to cross 14,000 where we need to talk about Bitcoin. We need to talk about Bitcoin because we need to know as this bull phase gets going how to best it. Look, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of early adopters in Bitcoin who own Bitcoin at cheap as can be and never made money or bettered themselves in life. It's really important, not as the emotional bull market phase is happening, but going into it to have your plan in place. Because as things get going in real time, you're going to have a lot of people. Bitcoin could this weekend trade up to 15, 16,000, and you're going to have people taking profit and selling, but without a plan. Anyway, Rob, in the US, you have Kraken as a excellent option. Onboarding into Kraken takes a little bit of time. It's not like one day. And also you have Coinbase Pro. It depends what state you live in. And you could just do a quick search, trading Bitcoin with leverage in whatever state you're in. Dad. So this is a great question over here. By the way, I hope you're enjoying yourself. I am. I know that we're light on the likes today, maybe because we're not going over, but I am. And this is the point. It's Friday. So Greg is asking what I think about Bitcoin becoming less and less volatile, right? Yes. But in this cycle, I'm still looking for 30% drawdowns. Now, if for Bitcoin is such a small market, it's $250 billion. This is so tiny. Do expect massive volatility as it becomes $1 trillion market. Now, if and when, as we overtake the market cap of gold, and I want to talk about gold and Bitcoin really quick with y'all, but if we overtake the market cap of gold, and then as we continue to increase over the global money supply, Bitcoin will become much less and less volatile on the upside and then on the downside as well. But we are far from that. By the way, if you're buying Bitcoin right now, and it's not because you have to, you are an early to Bitcoin. You are very, very early to Bitcoin. It's a $250 billion market cap. It's tiny. It's tiny. But if you can't, you should be able to look around you. And 4 years ago, JP Morgan was like, it's a scam. And now they're like, we need to buy as many Bitcoins as we can. It's going 10x from here. JP Morgan last week, Bitcoin's going 10x from here. JP Morgan last week, millennials don't want to buy gold. They want to buy Bitcoin. Listen, I think when you hear Bitcoiners talk about gold and Bitcoin, they get one thing very wrong. They're very right when they say that for a lot of reasons, which you're all aware of, why Bitcoin is actually has many better properties than gold. Where they're wrong is that, look, central bank gold has been money for over 5,000 years. Central banks hold it on their balance sheet, and when it comes down to it, whoever owns the gold makes the money. If you remember JP Morgan himself testifying before the Senate back, I don't know, 1920 something, and he was asked about credit, he's like, listen, only gold is money. Gold is money, right? And if you're a Bitcoiner, I get it, because no one's a bigger Bitcoiner than myself when it comes down to it. Now, there's a lot of people who know a lot more about me, especially about the technicals of Bitcoin. A lot of people. By the way, if you want to understand that, check out the Stephan Livera podcast. I mean, finally, a couple of weeks ago on a flight, I was listening to a podcast, and I was like, all right, now I could feel like I'm sitting at the table at the conversation. But those guys are just miles and miles above me, right? Miles above me. But look, Bitcoiners are like thinking in the future, right? But like, let me tell you something. If we sit down and have another Bretton Woods, it's not going to be who owns the most Bitcoin. It's going to be who owns the most gold that has a seat at the table and makes the rules. And there's a reason why Russia and China for the past X amount of years have been accumulating massive amounts of gold. They understand that we're seeing de-dollarization. But you said, by the way, a year ago on Twitter, people getting absolutely massively triggered about having conversations about the de-dollarization. No one would deny that right now. It's happening massively. By the way, really quick, just a side tangent, I wanted to talk about this. This is the Ant IPO. Oh, here we go. I'm trying to find it. I wanted to talk about Ant. If you're not familiar with Ant, Ant is the Jack Ma. Everyone thinks that his big company is Alibaba, but it's not. Here it is. It's Ant. Ant is Alibaba or Jack Ma's digital payment system in China, right? And they're having an IPO. They're saying $1.4 trillion or twice of Facebook wants to buy into it. Now, had Facebook launched Libra would have been the Ant of China, or Libra would have been the Ant for the United States. It's almost as it controls the whole financial system. It's all done digitally. Now, if I'm wrong on any of this, Alan, who definitely knows better than me, please educate me and help me. But this is my understanding for sure. It's massive. It's massive, and it's almost. But here's the thing: if Libra would have been launched in the U.S., Facebook would have had control. Listen, the Chinese government has absolute control over Ant. The Chinese government has absolute 100% control over it. So I guess I was talking about that because I was talking about gold, who gets a seat at the table. It's going to be a long while before Bitcoin is even competing with gold. And I think it'll be 5 years from now when Bitcoin is challenging the market cap of gold at the height of the next bull market. That all being said, Bitcoin. No, I listen, if you've been around Bitcoin for a while, you all know about the massive FUD you'll see throughout all of the bull market, right? They're trying to spike it down. They're trying to get your Bitcoin. You better do your own due diligence. You better play it out. You better have like massive game theory capabilities. And if you don't, the Bitcoin community is absolutely, I think, the best in the whole world. These guys, they're massively amazing. Massively, the brain power behind the Bitcoin is absolutely astonishing. These guys play it all out. Just do your own research. But the governments can't ban Bitcoin. It's absolutely impossible, and they've tried. And you've heard U.S. senators saying on record they know they can't ban Bitcoin. It's decentralized. Could they ban on ramps and off ramps? Absolutely. They could make it difficult. What would that do for Bitcoin? Bitcoin's the honey badger, right? It's only going to come out of it much stronger. You'll have other regions, other territories in the world who will be like, okay, why the U.S. is shooting itself in their foot, we'll go ahead and pass more favorable laws and welcome all of that brain power. And do you know how important that is? By the way, if you look at California right now, California's losing Elon Musk. California's losing who else is moving out of California? Either which way, they're losing a massive brain power because of their overregulation. And that's the same thing if the U.S. were to go ahead and ban Bitcoin or on and off ramps to Bitcoin or make it illegal to self-custody Bitcoin and store Bitcoin. Those people are going to leave the U.S. They're going to go elsewhere, and they're going to go ahead, and the U.S. will get left behind. I don't think the U.S. is that stupid. I think the U.S. is incredibly intelligent, actually. Don't bet against the U.S. That's what I think. No, I have no idea what happens to Bitcoin in a contested election. I would think that could put some pressure on Bitcoin, right? Or at least I would be prepared for that. I don't think Bitcoin is not a safe haven currency when it comes to geopolitical risk events like that, in my opinion. Now, the market's going to show us as Bitcoin grows and becomes more and more. But going into the election, before the election, my opinion is that Bitcoin is no way a safe haven currency. And actually, if we see a contested election, there's a good chance it could feel some pressure from that. Right? Now, look back on this chart over here. We're on the 8-hour. Let me just make this a little bit clearer for you. Look at this chart over here. Look at this line over here. That looks like pretty strong support right now, right? Do you see that? Like, this was a big area of resistance. We broke it above. It became a big area of support. And then finally, we're going to break it. Remember I said over here, this was the second time all year, I said Bitcoin consolidating below resistance here is massively bullish. Do you all remember that? Because it was very recently. The last time I said that was over here. I was like, Bitcoin consolidating over here is massively bullish. Both times on the record. Boom. Do I think that we're going to lose this area? I don't think so. In a congested election, I think that we're pretty good over there. Those are just my opinions. I cannot predict the future, but I could use all of these different levels as risk levels for managing my trades. I got knocked off a 3x bull ride this week, and I liked it. When BTC isn't really moving, it feels similar to stocks, but yes. That's a great observation. And again, I've said over and over, and by the way, we could go back just to over here. Just to over here throughout this whole area, I kept saying, look, we're going to start seeing signs of Bitcoin decoupling from that correlation. And like the thumbs down would fly and people don't agree with, that's fine. You all could, I have my opinions, you have your own opinions. We put them all together and we find out what's going on. But just be in the pursuit of truth. Don't be like looking to like defend your opinion. Like I'm always looking to be proven correct, right? I just told you my opinions on Ant, and if I know Alan's, as far as anyone I know in my life, I would say the an expert when it comes to China. I look, correct me if I'm wrong. I just want to know the truth. But either which way, that correlation is breaking massively now. I just showed you the S&P is down 10% since September, and Bitcoin's up 40%. If you're still so stubborn to say that the correlation's there, then look, I'm sorry. But this is nothing. It's going to, towards the end of the first quarter, it's really going to burst. It's going to break massively. And then that's going to get even more and more pronounced up until the peak of the bull market. And then you're going to have it on the way down just as pronounced. I don't care if the equity markets are trading at all-time highs. Bitcoin's coming off massively. Yes. There will come a point in the future as Bitcoin is a multi-trillion-dollar asset where the volatility lessens to the upside and downside. That's not happening now. It's a $250 billion asset. It is tiny. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, Anthony, great. I want to talk about gold and silver today. I want to talk about it, right? So listen up, Anthony. Someone saying, I saw the comment, they were able to see as gold was trading down yesterday at 1870, massive amount of spoofs going on. Excuse me. Gold is massively manipulated, and will continue to be until either A, they decide not to. But by the way, you used to have like people like JP Morgan who used to have a massive short position against silver, who now have a massive long position, right? Don't forget about that. We've seen many prosecutors. It used to be a conspiracy theory. The precious metals are manipulated. Now we've had actually convictions. It's not a theory. Gold is massively manipulated, and because they need to do that in order to keep this whole fiat house of cards going. Now, it's true if Bitcoin rises, or Luke Roman on Twitter, follow him. Luke Roman talks about if we see a massive rise in Bitcoin, because he sees it coming as well. Yeah, and all these macro guys, traditional finance, all of them are on the Bitcoin train now. Even our beautiful, I love him, Sven of North Grumman, or North something like that. You know, the perma bear. He's like, Bitcoin's ready to fly. You know, he's bullish on Bitcoin, bearish on the rest of the world. Listen, Luke Roman is saying if Bitcoin appreciates massively, they're going to have to appreciate the price of gold. And he gets into the details of why. But here's the thing, like, yeah, gold is massively manipulated. I want to always own gold. I don't care the price. And guess there's going to come a day when it's repriced. Is that going to be when they're introducing digital currencies? When they change the system and the central bank digital currencies out of the IMF become the backbone. By the way, I've been saying that for over 2 years. For over 2 years, I've been saying that's going to happen. Now you could see it. It's no longer a conspiracy theory. Look, when that happens, gold is going to be massively repriced. By the way, gold is part of that basket of the special drawing rights out of the IMF that will be backing the central bank digital currency. Gold at one point in our life will be massively repriced. Who cares if it's manipulated now? That means it's just more of an opportunity to get it cheaper. Isn't the Iran news dangerous? You know, the U.S. hates Iran. Yeah, so there are 3 countries in the world that are not part of the central bank banking system. Does anyone know what they are? Iran is one of them. What's the other? North Korea. What's the other? Cuba. Really interesting, right? The only 3 countries not a part of the central banking system are Cuba, Iran, North Korea. Yeah, they are. And not only are they smart, I mean, Iranians are good people too, right? And it's a beautiful country. I'm a big snowboarder. I love snowboard. I love skiing, snowboard movies. I've seen a lot of videos where they go ski in the mountains in Iran. Gorgeous people, gorgeous country. Josh, yes, there's many platforms now offering these type of interest on stable coins. BlockFi is one of them. Another is Celsius, and now you're seeing. Let me pull this up. Hodl, which is I don't have it here. Hodl. They're doing it decentralized right now. Josh, I was born in the Bronx, brother, but I grew up on Long Island. So listen, I'm simply not a Yankee fan. I rooted for the New York Yankees one game in my whole life, right? I forgot who they were playing, but I really wanted them to win so they could get into the World Series, so they could get into the playoffs with the Boston Red Sox, and then so I could root against them. I don't know what AG is. Are you talking about? I don't do the public markets basically. Ethereum under pressure. Ethereum under pressure, right? And look, I've been saying if we lose this over here, we haven't lost it yet. If we lose this, then, you know, unfortunately, we're coming back down towards 360. So again, we got above 390 and we weren't able to hold that move. So Ethereum's got me, how do you say? Man, I don't know what to make of it. How about that? I mean, everyone knows I'm on the Bitcoin train. I'm holding a small Ethereum position and I'm holding a small Chainlink position. And I maintain as Bitcoin comes into 16,000, 18,000, I'll be dropping those positions regardless of I expect them both to continue to appreciate from those levels as alt season hasn't basically even begun yet. And I do believe there'll be an alt season, you know? And these next 2 months, November, December, should be quite big here for all of the alts. November and December should be big months for the alts. Nevertheless, I want to hold Bitcoin. Look, I think Ethereum is amazing in the fact that it has the potential to do something extraordinary and big. But I also think that it's just highly speculative. And listen, whether or not it's going to be a success, that still is to be determined. And there is the possibility with Ethereum that if they're not able to go ahead and make the moves they want to make, that something else could go along and replace Ethereum as a protocol. That's a possibility. Cardano might be I'm completely not in the loop. Cardano might be a competitor. You all would know much better than me. I'm not going to speak about something that I don't believe I have enough perspective to add to the conversation, and this is one of them. But I think Ethereum is definitely the leader here. There is the possibility that something could overtake in the future Ethereum as a protocol. That's the thing, though. Bitcoin is not speculative technology. Bitcoin is proven technology, and there's nothing else competing against Bitcoin. If you want to, a lot of people trade alts trying to get more Bitcoin. So if you want to do that, that's why I recommend a small leveraged position in Bitcoin. Boom, 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 boom. Alex, good morning. Where's the look? Like, equities are risky. Hold on, we haven't talked about the equity markets yet, so we will. I have no problem as I read through comments if we come back to Bitcoin, right? Sam, I think Bitcoin is the worst way to do money laundering, simply because it's on a public ledger, and you know we've had government agencies do audits. The amount of laundered money they say is going through Bitcoin is extraordinarily small. People use dollars to launder money, right? So let me catch up on comments over here before I get into the equity markets over here. Thank you, brother. Thanks for always being a support. I talk about Bitcoin a lot. I don't think I talk about Bitcoin enough. I don't think I talk about Bitcoin enough. All right, I'm just trying to catch up to y'all. Give me 1 second over here. So we covered that, Reza, right? Right. And by the way, I don't want. We're having such a good time. I don't want to trigger anyone. Let me just say this, as this is in place right over here. As far as a contested election, like there are plans in place, right? Run from Team Soros right now. DC right now is being people on the street. DC is all boarded up. There's planned massive civil unrest for DC. Just so you understand, as that happens, that was not organic. All right, there is one side that understands or has game played out a result for election night, and they have massive civil unrest planned, organized civil unrest. Just so you know now, that was not organic. Thank you, George. Thank you, brother. Ooh, that's interesting. Dan, this is the first time I've heard this. This is a great bit of insight. Dan, comparing Bitcoin skeptics. I mean, Are there any more Bitcoin skeptics though? I know there were 2 years ago. I know there were a year ago. I know there were a lot 3 and 4 years ago. But like, is anyone skeptical of Bitcoin anymore? Wow. Yeah, we're gonna look at the equity markets in just one moment. Yeah, gotta respect anyone who is, this guy called Bitcoin a scam on Twitter, 2013, and then did his research from everyone else, where the same places we do all our research. Not only that, this guy has gone ahead and articulates everything. He's a beast. He's a beast. All right, I'm getting to where you are. All right, I'm just gonna go. There's too many comments. I'm getting back into real time. Peter Schiff is a skeptic. I don't think Peter Schiff is a skeptical on Bitcoin. I think Peter understands money. I think Peter uses Bitcoin as a way to market his platform. I don't think Peter Schiff is a skeptic on Bitcoin whatsoever. I think Peter Schiff is extraordinarily intelligent. He understands money. He's not an idiot, but he's so smart that he knows he could use Bitcoin as a way to market himself. All right, so let's talk about the equity markets here. All right, is there a good app to buy gold? You can now buy Pax gold on BlockFi. There is a link in the description below for BlockFi. They pay interest on it. It's not physical gold. It is digital gold. It's cryptocurrency backed by physical gold. I don't own any yet. I do not own any yet, but I could see myself in the future doing that. All right, let's go. The equity markets over here, right? I mean, look, we're coming into the election next week. There's a good chance it's going to be a complete mess. That would obviously put pressure on equity markets. Now, I do believe any pressure on the equity markets caused by the election will be temporary. I believe it will be a massive buying opportunity. Be ready for that. Now, on the upside, I'm going to keep it really simple. As long as we're below this trend line over here on the Nasdaq, as long as we're below this trend line over here, like, it's not smooth sailing, right? If we break above those trend lines in the coming weeks and or months, at that point, I'm going to say equities are no longer risky. Equities are attractive. All right, just so you all know, when we get above those lines, I'm going to be like, equities are no longer risky. Equities are attractive. By the way, as I scale out of Bitcoin, towards the height of the bull market, there's a strong possibility a lot of funds will go into the equity markets. Equities are a huge hedge against a what? A devaluing dollar. Okay, yes, I love gold. Yes, I love Bitcoin, but I'm not going to hold it through a bear market. And equities probably will get a large allocation at that point. Indexes are the best way to play it because they're trend following machines. What do I mean by that? Well, the ones that are underperforming are taken out of the index, and other companies that are overperforming are added to the index. Probably will make an asymmetric bet on ARK. On the ARK ETFs, as well as on Tesla. All of that aside right now in where we are today on the equity markets, I mean, we're on the verge of possibly breaking down in a waterfall type event. So I do not think, even though we're into a nice area of support, right? And the bulls are fighting here. That's support, right? That's support right there. Bulls are putting up a fight, but I'm not stepping in. This is not a falling knife, but this is like a slow motion train wreck. Now, equities are down 10% off the highs. There's normally a place, 9%, 10%. That's normally a place where you would want to step in and buy. That's a good correction. And if it weren't for the upcoming election next week, then I would be really more apt to do that. Now, is it possible election night? I think the greatest risk going into the election is that it's a non-event. You heard me start saying that, I don't know, at least a month ago. The greatest risk going into the election is that it's a non-event. If it's a non-event, I don't care who wins. I think we see a relief rally here on the equity markets. All right. That's what I see. Is Bitcoin overbought? We'll get back into Bitcoin in a second. Are there any questions about the equity markets right now that we want to discuss? Because it's Friday, we're having fun. We almost hit 500 likes. I would say that we hour in. If we didn't get it by an hour in, I would say it's a failure. 55 minutes in, almost to 500 likes. So, no, before we get into Chainlink or anything like, is there anything else we want to discuss about equities? I am energized because it's Friday. I'm happy to be here with y'all, and there's just a lot of fun stuff to discuss. 500 likes. I'm going to say it was a successful Friday. Alan, by the way, I've been enjoying your Twitter game. Look, if anyone wants to follow Alan on Twitter, I've been enjoying his tweets all week. Here we go. Let me follow. All right. Boom, boom, boom. 580 likes. We almost got to gold. Monthly close on the S&P 500. How are we closing this month? I mean, it's almost irrelevant, but we're going to look at it. I mean, I have to be honest. Looking at the monthly chart from my vantage point, from my perspective, it's looking pretty good to me. Like, things don't go straight up. This looks so far like healthy consolidation. All right, but the monthly chart is way too big of a time frame to me ever to consider. When I want to go to a long time frame, I look at the 3-day. Banks, look, Anthony Papalano says it best. Short the banks, long Bitcoin. The central bank digital currencies make banks obsolete. There's nothing else to say. Central bank digital currencies make banks obsolete. The banks will be bypassed. There's no more need for banks. We're not going to, so individual stocks, I'm not going to get into individual stocks at all. We're looking at the indexes. I gave that beautiful, what I consider to be a beautiful overview of where we're at going into the election right now. They're completely risky. There's the possibility, if we don't have a contested election, if someone concedes election night because there's a landslide, whether it's blue or red, if there's a landslide and someone concedes, I think equity markets are going to get a relief rally. Now, it doesn't mean that we'll break the trend line. Once we break this trend line over here, I think then equities become attractive. Until right now, they're uber risky, and we could see a waterfall event on a contested election. We could see it could be a long drawn out process. We could be ending the end of the year without a sitting president, right? And then who would become president of the United States? Why it would be the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. So, so when you're talking about Tesla or you're talking about any other individual stock, there are a lot of people who follow the afternoon updates on this channel who and we don't look at individual stocks, we look at the indexes, and they use our analysis on the index in order to position themselves in their individual stocks. That's the way to do it. No, I don't look for bullish and bearish divergence. Richard, thanks for getting the like. Thanks for that's amazing, Alvaro. And sincerely as can be, I'm so much more concerned with the quality of what we have going on over here. All right, Ernesto, how could I say no? Right? Let's look at Tesla because it's Friday, of course. Let's look at it in the 3-day. So as we look at Tesla, all those I can say, like it's tracking the equity markets. And I don't have a read whatsoever on the equity markets. There's nothing I can say about it. I'm not going to say, even though it looks like it's on the verge of breaking down over here, because you guys know that I'm unwilling to step in and sell the equity markets here, even though I'm looking for a possible waterfall moment coming up? Why am I so hesitant to step in and sell the equity markets? It's because that could change really quick if they like come to some type of verbal agreement that during the lame duck period there's going to be a stimulus event, and the equity markets in a second, it's too big of a risk. I don't want to sell the equity markets outside of a contested election. If there's a contested election, that's going to be one of the options I consider, right? It is. If there's a contested election and I could trade, the S&Ps or the Nasdaq 100 that night as it's happening, in the futures. So, but until that, right now, I just want to stay away. Positioned for the future. C. Brown, Pura Vida, positioned for the future. I love it. I love it. All right. What else are we looking at? No, 3 days is the longest time frame I go out to. Jesse is bought up. Let me get a link over here. Hold on one second, Jesse. I'll come right back to that. Okay, because rightfully so, a lot of people don't look at the description of what's going on in the video. They're focused with me. They're focused in on the charts, looking at price. I just want to bring up, since it's Friday over here, and by the way, I would like to bring it up every Friday, right? I'm going to pull up over here. This will be like a Friday thing that I want to bring up, right? Jesse went together and put together, and by the way, Jim's son did all the artwork over here for Taco Tuesday. It's amazing, the artwork he did. Jesse went ahead and put together the opportunity to go ahead and purchase these things easily online. And what I love the coffee mug, by the way, and Taco Tuesday all day long. So Jesse, thanks for that. There's a description for this Teespring store in the description below. And again, every Friday, if we could take a look at that, that would be awesome. No, Rob, it doesn't matter. When I say it doesn't matter, like, the monthly. All right, we could talk about it really quick. So first of all, the 8-hour time frame is by far one of the greatest edges I know in the markets. If you're trading off any other time frame, do explore the 8-hour time frame. Now, why is the monthly too long? Because I mean, sorry, I don't even know how to formulate this. The weekly is too long. The daily is actually too long. Trading off the daily time frame for me, like, you could get on the daily. Anyway, I can't find it. It's not flowing through me, Rob. So I'm not going to go with it and run with it. Look, I'm not telling you you're wrong if you trade off the weekly and or monthly. I'm saying for me, that's an eternity, and there's no way that I could trade off of that time frame. Now, if you're someone who's looking to invest, for several years in equities, and you're trading off the weekly time frame, sure, I get it. But for me, the 3-day, that's a long, big time frame over here. I do not look at anything higher than that. All right, let me catch up on some comments over here. Yeah, Timothy, work out, trying to work through and start your own fund, But even, I mean, obviously we all know lots of bank jobs are being lost, simply to, what would you call it? Computer learning and whatnot. But anyway. I mean, so when you talk about banks are supposed to loan, well, banks were incentivized through getting paid interest on their reserves not to loan. So that's what they're supposed to do, whatever they're incentivized to do. It's all a scam. The central banking system is all a scam run by some of the most devious, evil people on the face of the earth. When I was in seminary studying for the Catholic priesthood, I wrote a paper for social justice about the Federal Reserve banking system being one of the greatest evils on earth and getting into why. What else are we looking at? Let me drop down to real time and see what you guys are all focused in on. Robots. They call them robots, but they're really not. I mean, they're not AI robots. I mean, keeping life simple. Could we be coming up into some type of event next week? By the way, keeping life simple. Going back just a few months ago, or 6 months ago, I was positioned over 50% of my net worth into Bitcoin. Now that's obviously changing. That's obviously continues to grow as the price of Bitcoin rises. But I'm not going to change that allocation, even if it gets up to 85, 90%. The largest part of that portfolio outside of that is owned real estate. Which we're looking to sell, and that money would probably go to gold, just be parked in gold for the near term. Now, how much is in cash? It's not a small allocation, and it's only because I'm fully invested into Bitcoin. Otherwise, I would be buying more Bitcoin. Because if you're asking me which I prefer right now, allocation to cash or Bitcoin, it's not even worth thinking about. By the way, you could think of someone like MicroStrategy, who just took their cash reserves and put that into Bitcoin, right? Well, they're up. They put $450 million into it, and they're up in a matter of months, over $100 million. So if you're having, between cash and Bitcoin, a little bit of trouble, just study money. Study money. So it's actually become larger and larger and larger and larger. BlockFi has some pretty good security in the fact that you get to whitelist certain addresses. If your account was compromised, you would have 1 week to get it back where they couldn't make any withdrawals. They also do fake facial recognition as they confirm withdrawals. So listen, anytime you're holding any Bitcoin with a third party, you have third party risk. By the way, if your money is in, Bank of America or Chase Bank, you have third-party risk. And if you think the FDIC is going to be there to bail you out if something goes wrong with the banking system, then you have not done your homework. Today's a Bitcoin show, Kips. There you go. This is wisdom as can be. Have a great week. A Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. By the way, one of the clearest trends going on right now is that strength, that flow into the Japanese yen. You all remember over these past couple of weeks as we saw those bearish patterns developing, clearly seeing the follow through. Do I think that continues into next week, into the risk event? And especially if we have a contested election, I think the Japanese yen will offer some of the best opportunity next week. Canadian dollar, Japanese yen right here, right now, right? What do you see? What do I see? I see us, still right now consolidating below that resistance. Do I weigh the election in the near term? Yes, Max. If you're talking about, look, so the question is a great one. Do I weigh the election more than the possible full elections in Europe next week? Yes, 100%. Now, if you're talking about further insolvency events, the lockdowns in Europe greatly weigh into that. But that's more, again, of a slow motion type of occurrence. The election is a something that could move the market and have a high impact on it right in our immediate future. Third-party risk means that someone else is holding your funds, and if something happens to them or they decide to scam, then you lose your money. Your risk is with another party other than yourself. That's right. Kips was way ahead of this trade, the Australian dollar. he was way ahead of this trade, right? Here on the channel, out of the breakdown over here, we got it. But he's been talking about that since September. And look at that. I mean, since September, Kips was talking about the Australian dollar weakness. I think Kips, yeah, I am, JC Travels. I am releasing the video this weekend. So Kips has been, and I believe Kips, correct me if I'm wrong, Kips was talking about the pressure that China is kind of putting on Australia, and that was his main reason for seeing some type of pressure, and that is what started it. And now we're into a risk on, risk off environment. This is the pair for risk on, risk off: Australian dollar, Japanese yen. When you're seeing risk on, Australian dollar is usually the beneficiary, and when you're seeing risk off, it's the Japanese yen. A 1 minute gold chart. So by the way, that's clarity too. Anyway, there's nothing really to talk about on gold yet. Maybe on Monday. But you got to clear this resistance, everybody. I mean, yeah, listen, I view Coinbase as the Facebook of cryptocurrency. I deleted Facebook a while ago now. I don't know if you're still on If you're still on Facebook, then you could also be on Coinbase. Thoughts on the hour? Let's check out the hourly trend on gold over here together. Let's see what's going on. I mean, look, I can't give any insight whatsoever at all. Zero. There's too much back and forth on the 1 hour. There's way too much noise. It's not something I can get involved in. It's not something I can trade at all. By the way, fast moving markets. The Hang Seng was my favorite market I ever trade. It was so fast. It was absolutely ridiculous. On a short time frame is the way to go. But look, you're coming into, by the way, you ever notice going into the London close, funny things happen with the price of gold? It's massively manipulated. If you're trading on a small time frame at this time of day, be extraordinarily careful. That's all I could say. You're dealing with something that is highly manipulated coming into a time of day where it's highly manipulated. Kip shares everything. Kip shares everything. Yeah, the tech earnings, by the way, were absolutely atrocious. It wasn't just Facebook. It was also Twitter. It was also Amazon. And it was also someone else, really, Apple. All atrocious. Atrocious, atrocious. All right. I don't know. I don't want to get off here at all. I'm enjoying this time with y'all, but at the same time, I feel like I've run out of things to share or say on this Friday. I leave it open to you now. We're just gonna go with whatever you guys want to go with. All right. It's not when it. So by the way, it's not. It's not about whether you beat in the equity markets. It's about your forward guidance. Right? The markets are forward looking. That's why traders get so, if you listen, trading the markets is massively complicated. You have to understand what you're investing in. You have to understand their bottom line. You have to but it's not about whether or not they beat estimates. It's about their forward guidance. And their forward guidance was not good across the board. Amazon gave bad guidance with their AWS, their big money maker. So listen, it's Simon. The dollar could be attractive versus other fiat currencies. There's also the structural demand of the dollar. People simply need dollars, and as the price of oil comes down over here, and oil producing countries are selling less and less oil, if demand goes down because of lockdowns, and then if they're selling less oil, that means they're receiving less dollars, and they need those dollars to service their debt. So that puts a bid into the dollar against other fiat currencies. Now that has nothing to do with gold and or Bitcoin or other scarce assets. Wow, you were way ahead of me. I applaud you, my brother. It looks like we're seeing coffee and charts, man. That's what it's all about. Link, it looks bad, just like Ethereum looks bad. You could see if we now. I don't know where we're going to close in the daily time frame, and if we somehow magically close above this trend line, then you're okay. I do think a resumption below here. I think that could set up all the way and move all the way back towards $9. Now, is it possible? We have some other support over here. Let me move it up, right? I would first be looking all the way at $9.70, $9.80, right around that area. You know, that's a big, big move down on Link. So Link needs to, this is like the Alamo here. They need to hold this. Otherwise, it's in trouble. Apple gave very, 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 very bad forward guidance. It's not about beating. Nickel. Let's take a look at nickel. So actually, nickel here is kind of good, right? If it's able, it took out some stops here. If it's able to go ahead and resume off over here, that is a place to look to enter into nickel. Why would I do that coming into the resistance? Why would I do that coming into the resistance? Look, the same, blah, 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 I got stuttered. The same way on gold, I was looking to take that aggressive entry. The same way I did it on the Euro US dollar going back until I think it was late June. If I think that there's a good chance the resistance is going to be broken, and you all know, just like I pointed out last week on Bitcoin, the consolidation here, I think on nickel below that resistance is extremely bullish, especially holding that last area of support over here. This could be a good entry on nickel. Now that's a safer entry, but nickel continues to look very bullish over here. Actually, I should get on Kip's train over there. Yeah, if you're thinking about the future, right, and you're thinking about the move into batteries, then this is why he's got that play on nickel. And it's not only him. The U.S. government just bought mines, physical mines on that. XRP, I do have thoughts, and I sound like a broken record, but I've been saying it for so long, right? And what have I been saying for so long? Be very careful on XRP. By the way, this is actually bullish, right? That retest into that line of support if it holds there. But the reason I'm so cautious on XRP is because the company Ripple owns the vast majority of the float here, and they're selling that to fund their business. Like, this is the opposite of a scarce currency. They have billions and billions of these tokens that they're selling to you to fund their business. That's their business model. I can't understand. And if you're like, okay, cross-border settlements, all right, check it out. Central bank digital currencies, they're now doing cross-border settlements on their own. You know, what's the XRP? And man, if you're still in love with it, you got to get out of it. So be careful, right? It could rip. Look at these rips. It's called Ripple for a reason. It could rip in your face because the company controls the float, and they could do that whenever they want. They could rip it up, attract retail, and then dump it to them. And every time it rips, it dumps because we control the float. We're ripping in your face, and now we're dumping on you, and now we're dumping on you, and that's not going to change. So, you know, I used to say that a long time ago, and people would get very emotional. I think people see the truth now. Yeah, so many great assets to the Gemma. You're one of them. Thank you for always being such a positive presence here. And Kips, absolutely also another. Thank you for that, Kips. I think it's fantastic for adoption. PayPal. Look, if you look at well, eToro, by the way, is it's similar to Robinhood, but it's in Europe, but it's much bigger than Robinhood. eToro and eToro started also doing what PayPal did, offering Bitcoin, but you couldn't withdraw that Bitcoin, and now today you can withdraw that Bitcoin. I think there will come a time on PayPal when you could withdraw that Bitcoin from PayPal. It's not right now, and I think it's an amazing opportunity for a lot of people who not only are stuck within like traditional finance systems, but have trust in them to now own not own Bitcoin, but own a play on Bitcoin. So I think overall it's very healthy. What I worried about, what depends what your trade is. It depends what your trade is. Is it, I don't know. It depends what trade are you talking about, Anthony? A trade on Bitcoin? No, I would not feel bad about holding that whatsoever. Short equities, I would be a little concerned. I would be concerned that you could get a Friday headline towards the close that could really, put a bid into the markets. I think that you're much better off waiting for the event. The event is the coming election. It's election night, and it's finding out whether or not it's a contested election or if it's someone concedes. That's smart, in my opinion. Look, you got some of the smartest people in the world working on it. Please answer where to put money, cash, banks, third party. Do you wear? Look, if you used, I don't know. You're asking me where to put your cash. I'm not the person to I'm not the person, True Seeker, to answer that for you. Yeah. So the great question, Duarte. We're looking right now. Right now, you're looking. First of all, I think gold versus any fiat currency is a good place. But if you're talking Duarte, for sure. So, but if you're talking about and/or thinking about the fact that the ECB right now is doing verbal intervention, they're saying that they are getting ready, to ease further, and whether or not that will be in December after this week's meeting, I don't think so. I think that they've entered verbal intervention, right? And that's effective. But there is the possibility of further easing out of the ECB. But more importantly, gold versus fiat. Just pull up a chart. I think owning gold. Excuse me. I think the euro, while trading high versus the dollar, I do think it's quite possible. Let me talk about the dollar really quick to answer your question. So right now I'm looking at a trend change on the dollar. However, I have to be honest, this could last a matter of weeks, or it can last a matter of months. I don't know how far it's going to last, or even several months. I have no idea, but it is possible. Like if Biden wins and then we get a blue wave, is it possible that we see this turn and go way down? Yeah. And if that happens, the euro could be bid, and the euro, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the euro trade at some point in the coming future, near future. When I say near, I'm talking about like between now and several months at $1.25. Like that would not surprise me at all. That could happen. Yeah, so is there further possible upside on the euro? Yeah. Do I think that if that's happening though, I think gold would be quite bid. So I don't know how gold would be acting versus the euro, which would be stronger, the euro or gold. If you had to ask me, I would say gold. I'll look at chart in 1 second. But at the same time, we could see this big dollar move over here that's happening right now, and that could continue to put near-term pressure on the euro, taking us all down to about 12 cents, right? Taking us down to $1.12 easily. So let's look at XAU. And this is super bullish here, right? Just look where my mouse is, down into that nice area of support. You know, it looks attractive to me. Do I think that there's going to be a time when gold is making a new all-time high versus the euro? I would put that odds at almost as close to 100% as possible. So that looks like a really good place to be accumulating over here. Look, Jack, I don't ever give any type of advice. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to look at the markets, offer my insight, and you have to go ahead and make your own investment decisions. And if you're not sure what to do not do anything. But if you're asking someone else for investment advice, for sure it's not going to work out well for you. You have to educate yourself. That takes time. You know, like people are lazy. Like, tell me what to do. No, it takes time. And that's what you have to do. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that very much. Before we look at, I'll look at the oil chart in 1 second. You know, could we see the euro drop to yearly lows? I mean, I don't. The euro looks quite bullish to me, and as long as we hold that trend line, it continues. If we lose this trend line, we could come back down to $1.12, and then that's a big fight over here. If we lose that, we're coming down into this trend line, and then if we break that, it's game over. I will be super happy to play a break of this trend line, and then you're going to hear me talking about, you know, Bitcoin going down to $1.04. I mean, euro US dollar going to $1.04 and or lower. But none of that's happening right now, and I can't predict the future. This is bullish. This is consolidation above support right now. So, and if you ask me, you know, it looks like we're gonna see a weaker dollar. I know you got Raul this morning on Twitter saying we're going to see a stronger dollar from here on in. I mean, I'm long on the dollar right now, technically, but I think that could be faded. You know, I don't know whether it's in. I don't know when it is. Let's see what happens first with the election. Let's see who wins the election. Let's see who wins the Senate, and then we will go ahead and analyze accordingly. Now, we wanted to also look at the chart of oil. Let's look at the chart of oil over here today. And this is just, in my opinion, now offering opportunity, right? You all know for a long time, from June until now, from June until late October, I said stay away from oil. I wouldn't even look at it. And we were sideways. Now we're breaking down a range. Now it's becoming worth watching. But I'm looking, you know, if we hit 31 or 28, there's what I would look to buy oil, right? I think long term, those would be some interesting places to possibly lean into oil. So I don't know. I do remember my father-in-law, you know, wanting to buy oil over here, and I forbade him from taking that investment. Told him we were going down to 24. That happened relatively quickly, a lot quicker than I expected. As we came down towards 27, I said, all right, we're going down to 22. And then the last target I put down was 1450. I never expected us to trade below 1450 or go negative. What a year, 2020. As far as what's the best initial interest in, so Joel, you know, Bitcoin itself. You buy Bitcoin itself. You could do that through BlockFi, which I use, and it's the only thing I've used these past three months or so, and it's just a pleasurable experience. There's a link, an affiliate link in the description below. That, in my opinion, is the best way to go about it. Simon, thank you for that, Simon. I was just wondering in my head, I was like, man, you know what? I'm having a good time today. I hope they're enjoying the session. So Simon, thanks for that affirmation over there. I appreciate you doing that. It's almost as if you read my mind. So definitely thank you for that. Yeah, BP, a lot of people have been asking to look at natural gas. A lot of people. I'm not ignoring anyone ever. Like, that's for sure. Uh, let's look at Alanda's natural gas over here. Let me look at a big time frame over here. So, oh, what's my opinion on natural gas? First of all, my opinion is I don't think that I should give my opinion. I'm going to talk about it, but I don't think that anyone should listen to my opinion on natural gas because here I don't know anything about it. Right? There's something in my head. There's something in my head about them trying to like so you guys can do your own research. Something about did Biden vocalize something about if he were elected they would be banning natural gas in the U.S. I don't know if that's true or not. That something is in my head about that. I don't know what it is. Some people are looking at natural gas right now because it was just trading at extraordinarily lows over here. Look, to be honest, I can't even give any type of opinion whatsoever on this right now at all. You know, does anyone have an opinion? I don't. I can't offer anything. I know that he said he will ban fracking. I know that he said that. That completely separate point. Could someone Google it really quick? So Alan, here's the thing. And I'll go back to natural gas so someone else could add to that conversation. I have nothing I could add to the conversation. I will not talk about something I do not believe I could add anything worthwhile to the conversation. Enrico, by the way, we spoke about that in yesterday's live stream in the morning. Watch that, Enrico. I pulled up the Bloomberg article and I talked about it. This is not a big deal whatsoever that Turkey needed to sell gold for dollars, right? It was Turkey and it was also go watch that video. That's not a big deal whatsoever. But Enrico, watch that video. It's at the beginning of the live stream. Watch when I pull up the Bloomberg article, and then go ahead and watch that. Could you transfer fiat? Yes, that's how I fund BlockFi. I send a same day wire, in order to fund from U.S. dollars into BlockFi. Alan is asking something I want to, before I get into natural gas, talk about. He's saying that Raul's awesome, founder of Real Vision. I love listening to Raul speak on macro. And I'm not saying I disagree with him, but whether I agree or disagree, and I don't agree on everything, I enjoy hearing his perspective all the time. Number one. Number two, he's saying, right, that people should hold dollars. Now, Raul is holding dollars, by the way, simply because, as he says, look, from Real Vision, he has a large source of income. He's saying more than hold dollars, that people should have a source of revenue, right? And Raul, number one, above everything, is just saying that he is irresponsibly long Bitcoin. More than anything right now, Raul has the biggest Bitcoin position, number one. Number two, and when he says irresponsible, he doesn't think he's irresponsible, obviously. He thinks that is the responsible thing to do. Have an enormous allocation to Bitcoin. I myself have it. I could say it. Gold, Raul owns a little bit at this point, he says. Now, Raul believes in gold. He understands gold. He thinks that people should have an allocation to gold. And he just put out a video or a tweet talking about some other guy. I forgot his name. But the importance of owning gold, right? I think Raul's Bitcoin position makes whether he's holding any dollars, and he's holding dollars in case there's any type of event, as we saw in March, where he could put those dollars to work. Regardless of any of other Raul's position, and he knows it too, his Bitcoin position makes up for any, let's say, mistakes. For example, if Raul stays long on dollars and dollars wind up, depreciating largely from here, it doesn't even affect his overall portfolio because of his Bitcoin position. That's my opinion, and that's what it is, right? By the way, if you don't understand Bitcoin and you're positioned all into equity markets and you have like a small 3% allocation into Bitcoin, it won't matter in these next 12 months what happens to your equity position. Your 3% Bitcoin position will protect you, my opinion. Oh, Dan, is it New York is not available? There is this, Dan, if BlockFi is not available where you live, check out on Twitter, HODL. They just have instituted a new decentralized system. I understand that to be the case. That's a short amount of time. If that happens, I mean, you could see Tesla going ballistic. You could see Kip's nickel going ballistic. Biden said he would transition out, right, over a long period of time. And if they're saying 10 years, just do understand it's not going to be 10 years. It's going to take longer than that. That's a lofty, ambitious goal. And I'm sure you would see a lot of money pouring into that. By the way, when you talk about stimulus, if we have a blue wave, there's going to be a big, large package of stimulus passed right away. But then we're also talking multi-trillion-dollar transition into Biden's clean energy plan. Okay? Natural gas could be very strong, very long bet if all this hydrogen fuel thing ever comes to fruition. Natural gas can be turned into hydrogen. There seems to. I'm gonna get past all that banning and stuff right now. I don't. Is that a problem? The transaction fees are. By the way, if you follow Matt Odell on Twitter, really good follow. Matt's saying that next week there will be a difficulty adjustment in Bitcoin lower, and at that point, within a matter of days, the transactions will go lower. But I don't think large transaction fees are a problem on Bitcoin whatsoever. Thank you, brother. Kraken, I think Kraken is a good exchange. I think it's a great exchange. It was my recommended exchange up until it took a lot longer to onboard onto Kraken, which has changed over the past 4 or 5 months. Kraken's a good exchange. Jesse, the CEO, definitely well known, highly respected in the space. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. Um, See that strong consolidation right against that trend line. Now I've been watching for if we get a break above there to possibly go long, but I'm going to tell you two things. First of right now, Canadian dollar is feeling pressure from the price of oil. An Australian dollar is feeling pressure right now from the risk off environment. When you're looking to trade, do you want to trade weakness versus weakness? No. I look for strength versus weakness. Which pairs are strong right now? Right? The Japanese yen. That's a strong pair right now. Dollar? US dollar? Strong. So if I'm looking to set up trades right now, they're going to be versus, those two pairs. Also, which pairs are weak right now? Well, both of these pairs are weak right now. So I might look to set up a trade on the Australian dollar Japanese yen, on the Canadian dollar Japanese yen, or the Canadian dollar US dollar, which I said finally yesterday, now looking for longs on the US dollar Canadian dollar, right? So what's going on here, right? Right now, nothing, no man's land. But if we clear this resistance, that becomes attractive. Into this support over here, that becomes attractive looking for a long. Brandon. Uh, my game plan for election day. By the way, what day is election day? Let me check out right now. It is Tuesday. My game plan for election day is going to be so I don't know what's going to be offering the best site, giving us the best. Last year it was something on the New York Times. Last year, 4 years ago, something on the New York Times. I'm going to find out whatever I perceive to be the best source here for finding out what's going on that night, for getting the results. And I'm just going to watch price. And I just have a clear, open mind. This is my plan. Going in, I don't have any preconceived notions outside the fact that if we have a clear winner and we have someone concede, I think we're going to go really, that's a market event. The market's not expecting that. That's the greatest risk in the market right now for me. And that's going to offer a lot of opportunity as we could see a sharp move, a bounce in the equity markets. That's probably how I would be looking to play that. I'm going to be watching to see who wins the Senate really closely. That's going to definitely affect, what's going on. And really just to be open. I want to be zen. I want to feel like Neo in the Matrix, plugged in, and just like, instead of trying to I have like my guidelines of what I'm looking for, right? Contested election, sell equities, right? Because that's not gonna be like that. That's gonna last a little while. That's gonna get ugly. But I don't have a plan. I'm gonna be zen. I love when the markets are moving. It's very easy for me to trade when the markets are moving. So I'm gonna take advantage of that. Yeah, just there's so many places to trade Bitcoin today. It's not like it was years ago. So just do a quick Google search of where you live and how to trade Bitcoin. BlockFi is not for trading. You could move and position your holdings from stablecoin into Bitcoin, or from Bitcoin into Ethereum, but it's not for trading. It's HODL. Just follow their Twitter account and look at their most recent threads. HODL. Have a great weekend. I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with their security. I mean, Gemini has fantastic cold storage security. You got you pay for what you get. By the way, Square, a lot of what's going on with Square. It's beautiful. So, by the way, when I say so, I mean Square in my mind is actually like a play on banking 2.0, the new banking system. I haven't talked about Square in a long time because it went parabolic, and I but going back, pre-crisis area, we used to speak about Square a lot, right? And then over here, I didn't have the funds available to position into Square, and all available funds went into positioning to Bitcoin at that point. So, I guess Square would have been a better trade, but I didn't know that at the time. And that's debatable too when you bring in leverage and whatnot. So, by the way, if you're a long-term bull on Square, this is a beautiful event happening right now, right? This is like, oh, fine, finally. What is the PE going down to now? 150. It's only off 20%. On Amazon, by the way, 30% pullbacks historically have been a great time to lean in. So did PayPal, by the way, what's the exact date PayPal launched their Bitcoin? Is it right over here? Does that put competition put pressure on Square? I don't know. I don't know what's factoring into it. That's the thing about public companies. You have to really know what's going on, right? You have to know what's going on so many. But yeah, Square's off today. I see that. It looks like a bottom opportunity. My trend lines aren't clean on purpose. The reason my trend lines are not clear is because it's TA is not. It's to remind myself that TA is not an exact science, that it's an art. All right, and actually I learned that from Raoul Pal. I learned that from Raoul Pal. Uh, those trend lines that I put in, and I tighten them up at points. If you look at gold, by the way, you know, like these are tight, and they're tight on purpose. And I either do this, like let me show you on something I'm doing that. Pound Canadian dollar. Ah, up until, by the way, up until yesterday, I had this on the pound Canadian dollar. And now I've tightened those up as we're getting close to possibly breaking out. So at first I do like a little bit like this, and then later on I tighten it up. Yeah, so that was the thing to worry about over there. So we were right here at 1883 on this live stream, and I was like 1 hour gold. No, I mean, at this time of day, this is heavily manipulated. Did S&Ps just lose major support? Yes, but it only matters where it closes on the daily. Like it matters where we close today. If we close here right now today, we lost major support. We lost that horizontal support. We lost this trend line, which is not major support, but that's where we found the bottom in March. But it matters where we close today. It matters where you close in the daily. So, by the way, the United States has the most room to go when it comes to printing. Keep that in mind when you talk about weak dollar, strong dollar. First of all, use my analysis as a way to sharpen your own, to make your own informed decisions. If I'm neutral on the equity markets, that means I do not have a position whatsoever. Zero allocation. When I say pressure, I assume that means pressure would mean, you know, pressure forcing something to go down. I'm not sure of the context I said that though. Thank you, L Train. What do we got in here? A bunch of likes this morning. Appreciate that, everyone. I appreciate sincerely showing me that you like what's being shared over here. It also helps support the channel, letting the Google algorithm know you like what's being shared. So thanks for taking the time to smash that. That really. So, I mean, there's a question. I'm going to field it. I don't care. Whatever. If Trump won't step down, will it start a civil war? Should we dump all or go to the dollar or gold? I would happen to think two things. I mean, it's a leading question, right? You're not asking if there's a civil war, what should we do? You're saying if Trump won't step down, look, there are plans in place for there to be civil unrest. And it's not if Trump won't step down, it's if Biden won't concede the election. So just careful, you know. But if there's a civil war, I mean, Jordan would be more proud. I don't know. You know, look, when it comes to gold versus dollar, it's about liquidity. Right now, we're not seeing any signs of a liquidity crisis. We're not seeing any signs whatsoever of having a liquidity. Going into the crisis, we were seeing great signs of a liquidity crisis. This started happening in September. This is when the Federal Reserve started, and I text my family in September and told them, in September, we started seeing signs that you know, the repo market was not right, and they started injecting billions of dollars each day. That went on, and by the end of the year, that was supposed to end. That didn't happen. This is over here, sorry. This is when we started having the liquidity crisis. Was over, where are we? This is when, all the way back over here. So confused. let me go to I'm on a 1 hour chart. No wonder I'm confused. I thought I was on a daily chart. I'm sorry, but I thought I was on the daily chart over there. It was over here in September of 2019 when we started seeing signs of problems in the repo market. That went on till January, and it was supposed to be subsided by then. It wasn't. They had to continue adding massive amount. It wasn't COVID. COVID was the little pin. There were massive problems in the system prior to COVID, right? That popped it. That was a liquidity crisis. Since then, the Fed has overreacted. There's zero signs of any liquidity crisis right now. I would happen to think that gold would have performed better unless, I mean, of course, the markets are ever evolving. If we run into any issue that causes a further liquidity problem, there's no question about it. Gold will feel the pressure in that event. So, Jay, I mean, if the country makes Bitcoin illegal, the Cayman Islands of the world would just welcome BC. Yeah, I mean, you can't stop Bitcoin, right? And it would be temporary. Whatever. If the U.S. banned Bitcoin, that would be temporary. You know, I don't know how long it would last. It could last even up to several years, but eventually they would be forced to come back to it. I've been, yeah, I mean, my wife's the best. We've been actually well before COVID. A year, like, she started giving my kids vitamin D and vitamin C, and they go to school and like they're young. And all of last year, not one of them got sick. You know, I think the most important thing as we're seeing an increase of the virus here is always, as we said from the beginning, make sure you keep your immune system up. Make sure you get plenty of exercise. Make sure you're getting good sleep. Make sure that you're eating well. Make sure that you're trying not to let stress get to you. Make sure that you're taking vitamin D and vitamin C. I don't have anything to say right now, but I don't want to get off. I'm enjoying my time with y'all. What's next? I'll follow the conversation. So yeah, I mean, so a couple of comments, JC. Uh, you know, yes, Anthony, better. I don't do that. I should. Great, great, great insight for sure. That's right. It is vitamin D3. Thank you, Brandon. Um, boom, boom. What did I wanted to say? What websites do I use for my news? I use Twitter primarily. I use Zero Hedge. Um, I use Real Vision. I use YouTube, and a lot from the comments that you guys leave in the videos. Coffee. When I say coffee, it comes out like a New Yorker. That's for sure. Got to go back to them roots over there. Yeah, thanks, Jeffrey. I'm just having a good time with you all. That's how we set up the session, to try to have a good time. I want to talk about that important comment question over there about all days. TJ, equities are falling, but Bitcoin holding up like a champ. That's right. Good observation. Observations are an edge in the market. Observing what's happening is much more important than like having a preconceived notion in your head, taking a trade, and then watching the market. JC is saying, what is it possible all coins don't follow the rise? First of all, this is when alt season is supposed to start right now. Number one. Number two, right now alts are under pressure. It's natural to say, oh, wait, Bitcoin is supposed to pump first, right? And as Bitcoin pumps and as Bitcoin makes new all-time highs, and as the media is like Bitcoin, 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 and then mom and your brother and your cousin and your uncle are all like, oh, Bitcoin again? All right, I need to get into this. Oh, Bitcoin is $20,000 is too expensive. Wait, Ripple's trading at a quarter? Well, I'm going to buy myself some Ripple. If that goes to $1, I'm going to be rich. And that's when alt season starts on speculation. And I still think we're going to have an alt season. I sincerely do. And I why I see a lot more people more focused on Bitcoin. There's still a lot of people focused on altcoins, right? Ethereum included. We're also seeing, DeFi is a baby that was just born. DeFi is the future. There's no question about it, but it's enormously highly speculative right now, right? Is there going to be a lot? There's going to be a lot of speculation inside that market this bull run, right? And that could help Ethereum pump as well, right? However, it's all highly speculative. It's just all highly speculative. I believe that it's human nature to speculate. It's a lot harder for the speculator, all speculators, to be like, you know what? I'm going to go with Bitcoin because Bitcoin is proven technology, right? And it's a lot easier for people to be like, you know what? I want to go with Tezos, right? Or whatever altcoin they pick. My opinion. Bitcoin bubble burst. Bubbles rarely reinflate. I mean, Mike, that just shows a very strong understanding of having no understanding whatsoever of the Bitcoin 4-year cycle. I mean, Bitcoin was created to actually have these bull phases and also the bear phases. The bull phases attract adoption, attract speculation. The bear phases is where the infrastructure is built out. Now, is Bitcoin in a bubble? Well, I don't think Bitcoin is in a bubble at all. Was Bitcoin in a bubble at $19,000, $20,000 last year? If you consider the worldwide financial system, not even close, right? So are equity markets in a bubble right now? Yeah. Does that mean they're not going to go way higher? No. Is real estate in a bubble right now? Yeah. Does that mean it can't go higher? No. Is Bitcoin in a bubble? Not even close. When Bitcoin's trading at 300,000, if Bitcoin trades at $300,000 this cycle, then you could be like, it's in a bubble. And I'll be like, yeah, but I already positioned out. And not only that, Mike, Bitcoin is going to go down 80% from here. I already know it's going to go down 80% in the bear market phase, right? But guess what? When Bitcoin was trading in the bear market down at $3,000, no one was like, Bitcoin's overreacted to the downside, right? You hear a lot of people, Bitcoin's in a bubble. You don't hear anyone being like, Bitcoin overcorrected, right? So what side are you on? Because I'm going to be like, Bitcoin's in a bubble. And I'm going to be like, Bitcoin overcorrected to the downside. And if you're only like, Bitcoin's in a bubble, then do you have a biased opinion? Well, I do think so, right? The market's the market. Let the market speak. Definitely liquidate. When I tell you, and I will tell everyone, when I'm positioning out of Bitcoin, I'm not trying to catch the top. I don't think I could catch the top. If I could get within 25%, I think I was a hero. I don't know if I could get within 25%. But if I could do that, then I was a master, right? If I could get within 25% of the high, then I mastered it. I don't need to do that to complete my goals. But again, I will be using certain things like this cycle pie over here. If you go back to the last two cycles, this crossover on the pie cycle gave almost the exact high. Not just this cycle, the one before it. I will be trying over here as well, right? The last cycle before it, that's an indicator that I have to consult, right? That's why I pay monthly for it, so that I have that little bit of help. I'll be looking for that as we go parabolic, when to know when to get out. I'm aware of how many more months to the next halving. I'm aware of the pair cycles. I'm aware of the mathematical targets I've worked out. So yes, I will be positioning out, liquidating my GBTC. No, Glenn, I have a video on the channel. I think it's on the Bitcoin playlist. I think it's the last one. My price target was 18,000 in December of 2020. Right? Now, so in all fairness, I do try to, just like 140,000 is my price target for the peak. I, I know that we could trade well higher than that. If we're trading, if we're trading, I don't think we're trading at new all-time highs until 2021. But if we are, I mean, I met my target, right? Like, But I think 18,000 is from 2 months from now. That's my target. Now, people were asking me just going a month ago, Jordan, do you still have your $18,000 target for Bitcoin at the end of the year? And I was yeah, I do. That doesn't look so crazy now, does it? Right? And I said, right, how much are we up in October? We're up 30% in October. By the way, these are on the live streams. And I said, yeah, the historical return in October for Bitcoin is 30%. And not only that, the historical return for Bitcoin in November is 60%. Of course, I still have my $18,000 price target. I have no idea. I have no idea what's going to happen. Not only on Bitcoin, across everything. Listen, until election night and we get some type of clarity, and that clarity could be that, like, look, this is a contested election and absolutely a high, huge risk event. That's clarity in itself, knowing that things have gotten from bad to worse. Sean, I don't. That's up for you. You have to make those decisions yourself. I think that if someone should get off zero, I've tried to get my family to buy Bitcoin. Now, you know, someone in my family, was listened to me, but my most of my family did not. But you have to make up that you have to understand what you're doing and why. That's all. I mean, this is the way to do it, right? Dollar cost averaging is the best way. There's a ton of research on it. There's no question about it. Rather than timing the market, best to now. I will add one caveat to that right now, and I'm going to pull that up for you. I think we might. Oh, platinum. We'll look at. Yes, 1 second. Let me just finish talking about dollar cost averaging. There we go. That's difficulty. There we go. Dollar cost averaging, I think, should be done around the cycles of Bitcoin. For example, right? There's no question at the top of the bull market, right? Oh, that's not sorry. You guys don't even know what I'm looking at and why. So just remember this chart in your head, but look at this. These colors are how many more months to halving. Notice over here, the peak of the bull markets are somewhere around, let's call it between 33 and 27. Okay, so when you position out of the bull market, I don't think you should be dollar cost averaging in between here at all. I think you should be 100% neutral over here. I don't think you should sell Bitcoin. I don't think you should sell Bitcoin personally, even though 85% drawdown, 85% drawdown. That for some of you that might be too much not to sell, but for me I won't do that. But over here, once you get back to 15 months to the next halving, don't forget Bitcoin is math. Bitcoin is math. A lot of people that don't get Bitcoin do not understand that. Bitcoin is math. As you get towards 15 months, exactly 15 months, dark green dot, that's when you should start dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin again for the next cycle. We wanted to look at, yeah, and Jay, in all fairness, those same people have an enormous allocation to the equity markets, whether it's their retirement and or speculative funds. Will I be live trading election night? I don't know. The thing is, if I don't think so, because that would negatively affect me. I'm not able to go ahead and put together and process all that real time information if at the same time I'm you know, running a show. So there was one thing that people wanted to talk about: platinum. All right. So here's the thing on platinum, right? Everyone can see this beautiful channel, downward sloping channel that we're in right now. Now, actually, we're coming towards the support portion of it, right? I have this channel support, this lower ones over here, right? So, you know, whereas over here, it's too late. You can't buy over there unless you finally break out. Then you can buy, and you could buy like with happiness. However, as you come into the lower ends of this channel over here, you're still in no man's land right now. This is no man's land. No man's land is between resistance and support, but we're coming down towards areas where I think it becomes attractive to look to lean into platinum. For sure. And if you had a higher time preference, like right now, I think this is where you start your accumulation. Yeah, I would. Right now, the Nasdaq, the S&P, and all equity markets are way too risky, way too election night. Dylan, that's a complicated answer, and I'll give you my thought on that. Well, but only one comment, please. No spamming. There's a complicated answer. I'm gonna give you all my thoughts on that right now. I mean, that's bullish. Bullish, bullish, bullish. So anyway, Dylan's asking, everyone's a lot of people probably have interest in this. What are my thoughts on back testing to improve trading? Do I recommend this? Do you recommend following many markets in real time and learn to understand their flows? Wow, that's a two-part question. And so I'm going to start with the second one, and then I'm going to answer the first, because the first one is more difficult to answer. One of the greatest edges you could have in the markets is doing what we do here every day, right? Now, I follow what to some might look like a lot of markets. Now, to others, maybe not at all. But, you know, I think one of the greatest edge you could have in the markets is every day doing your analysis. Now, you could equate this to being a professional athlete who spends their time training every day. The more time you spend training, the better you perform. Same thing in the markets. The more time you spend on your analysis, the more time you spend analyzing the whole markets and their relationship together, because it's all one big, great, grand dance. That's the flow of the market. And the only way that you could trade the market successfully, you know, unless like you're Jim Rogers, and who has this like enormous macro view and a lot of time, and Jim will be the first one to tell you, I have the worst timing in the world. Now, if you could have Jim's macro knowledge and then have the flow of the market and understand how TA works, well, then you have a huge edge up on Jim. Now, what I think you have to spend your time doing your analysis. You have to find the flow of the market, and there's no other edge better than that. Now, when it comes to back testing and forward testing, back testing using a computer and using variables is absolutely a waste of time. I have a close friend who right now works for Google. He used to work for NASA, you know, and he worked in their AI department. And back in 2009, around that time, you know, started going to all sorts of investment conferences and wanted, you know, you could have the best of the best computer scientists, and they are not able to put together profitable systems. Now, I say that with a grain of salt. We have Renaissance Technologies, the most profitable hedge fund in the world, and they do use advanced models. Okay, for sure. If I had a team of data scientists, you know, with my knowledge as a trader, man, I could manage being in a bunker for years, having a grand time, a grand time. But as a retail trader, if you're trying to develop a system and trying to back test something, all you're going to do is curve fit something, right? Also, one of my best friends, me and him, we taught ourselves how to trade in the very beginning. Going back into 2000, 2001, we were just learning together, and we had like the buddy system going. He wound up becoming, he was also a great programmer. He wound up, after eventually going from investment bank to investment bank, starting his own private equity firm where he's the chief technology officer. You can't backtest systems to create a profitable one. All you do is wind up curve fitting. Now, if you are and have the ability to backtest, but are able not to cloud your judgment, for example, he had this system he developed. This is 18 years ago. Or 18 years ago, he had this system he developed, and it was like, the problem was it didn't trade enough, however, had he had the insight to know that if he would have stuck with that system for 20 years, he would have been better off than anything else. But it didn't take enough trades a year. It was profitable over, decades. And, I think this system was, whatever the buy trigger was, I was able to tell him, look, have the buy signal, the buy criteria be when, when I think it was exactly when price makes a higher hold than that close, not whatever it was. That drastically, he was able to backtest that and see that it drastically improved the performance. That's not curve fitting. Curve fitting is continuing to change and adjust variables until you get the curve you want, and then when you forward test that, it always fails. So it's a double-edged sword. It could be a great tool if you have the ability to use it. Now, at the same time, you can't develop a strategy without kind of back testing and forward testing, and that means go over a chart and playing with the chart and seeing kind of what works and what doesn't. However, from my experience, what worked was like figuring out which way I wanted to go. Like, developing a strategy that works is extraordinarily difficult. And by the way, if you don't have one, I share one in the course, and it's absolutely amazing. Now, once you have that like idea, the most important thing you could do is actually forward test it. Forward testing is way more important. Forward testing in real time is way more important than back testing. But again, back testing is, could be an enormous advantage if it's a tool with the right person. So I hope that answers your question. We got to get 100 likes. There was something else I wanted to share. Oh yeah. The first system that I ever developed was in the equity markets. And while I haven't used it in an extraordinary amount of time, I'm sure it's still successful. It was highly successful. Oh, Troy, just really quick, besides the course, what other material do I suggest that might help a beginner trader? So a couple of things. By the way, I purchased my first trading book, which comes out, I think, November 3rd or November 4th. Now, I've only read a couple of trading books, and I've read them multiple times each. It's Reminisce of a Stock Operator, the story of Jesse Livermore. It's absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. Each time you read it, you learn more because you have more market experience, so you understand it more. The other ones are the New Market Wizards and the Market Wizards books. They don't really teach you anything about trading, but they teach you about traders. Love them. Have, over the years, listened to them multiple times. Jet Black. The author of the Market Wizards has a new book out, or it's being released on November on the 3rd. I think it's like, I forgot what it's called. When I actually get it, I'll tell you. I already purchased it though, but it's a new Market Wizards book of sorts. So I'm looking forward to that. I think those are absolutely phenomenal. Now, I've never read, and going back 20 years ago, the one book that was always recommended and consistently has been for 20 years has been Mark Douglas, Trading in the Zone. For 20 years, that book has become highly recommended from trusted sources. I would gather to say that is something that you should definitely consider. Now, I own the audiobook because I've never listened to it, and I would like to listen to it. Unknown Market Wizards, DK. That's what it is. It's the Unknown Market Wizards. I can't wait for it. I'm excited for it. I mean, like Russell is so correct. Well, first of all, he's not talking about he's talking about buying gold, long-term view on gold. We all get it. The 1,000, I thought we had 1,000 likes, 1,000 viewers. Nevertheless, that's very nice. But Russell's saying here, right, is true. Russell is saying what Russell's saying is absolutely an opportunity. By the way, just the other thing I want to point out on gold, let's do this together really quick, very important. If you go back to 2008, when we had that crisis over here, in 2008, we had a big, where are we? Right over here. This was a big drawdown on gold. I think it was 30%. 30%. And then in this crisis over here, we had another big drawdown on gold, and it was 15%. Right? Where are we right now in gold? That was a liquidity crisis, friends. Right now in gold, we're down at a 10%. Excuse me. So what Russell is saying here, by the way, if you get the big drop in gold, opportunity, you saw during the 2008 liquidity crisis at 30% gold. Now in the last liquidity crisis, only a 15% drop in gold. We're already down 10% off the all-time highs. You know, how much further do you think we're going? I want to get a look at what the drawdown would be into that nice area of support over here. Do you think we're going to get another 13% drawdown? 16% drawdown? I don't know, but if we do, I hope you have the awareness, as he's saying, to go ahead and buy. All right, everyone. I think we're going to call it a session. We didn't make it to 1,000 likes, but it was such a great session. If you did enjoy it and you haven't yet liked this stream, please go ahead, smash that like button so we go out with 1,000 likes. Tomorrow, maybe even today, I'm going to start producing the How Do You Trade Bitcoin in the Bull Market. So I'm excited for that. That's a big deal. Looking forward to that one. You too have a beautiful weekend, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thanks for spending this time. Fantastic, fun Friday. What a pleasure to spend it with all of you. DXY is bullish. Look at yesterday's videos on the DXY. Nothing's changed. Breakout, retest, resumption, into resistance, consolidating. It's bullish. Yeah, man. Thank you, brother. Not 14 short. That's all right, everyone. We almost did it. Thank you, everyone. Beautiful day. Beautiful, beautiful day. Enjoy your weekend. Looking forward to next week. We're going to get through this election together. Not only get through it, we're going to find a way to thrive during it. TJ, what a pleasure. My pleasure. Me too. Me too. Have a great weekend. I'm also looking forward to Monday. Thanks, everyone. Really grateful for it. Thank you, Thomas. 1,000 likes. That's a big day over there, everyone. Thank you for that support. Yes, Raul's right. Oh no, yes, he's right and wrong. Of course. Central banks are not going to be flipping their gold positions to Bitcoin. Let's say that. But he's talking about those astute gold investors. There are really astute gold investors. If you're a gold bug, you understand Bitcoin. They understand now the cycle of Bitcoin. One kilo of likes. Thriving together. Love it. Thriving together. Hey Josh, that's right, brother. Thank you for that. Have a great weekend, Josh. Big up to the Bronx. Perth, Australia, one of the homes of gold. Gotta love it. I don't think anything about the VIX. I could just look at the equity markets and see the volatility. I'm not worried about the VIX. Everyone, have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you soon.